this episode of Shut Up and Listen, Small Town Stories
with Sarah
and Renee. And this is our best of. Can you believe we've been doing this for almost a year?
It's shocking to me.
I know. And we're doing a best of episode.
We have done some really good episodes this year and visited with so many wonderful people in the community.
I agree. So I would anticipate, a lot of our guests will be featured, but there's probably going to be some very interesting outtakes thrown in as well because, while our episodes, I'm sure, seem very polished and put together, sometimes the struggle is real.
Every day the struggle is real.
Because we have to keep your attention.
I know, and it is difficult. So we hope that you enjoy this episode of some of our favorite moments and perhaps some little tidbits that you haven't seen or heard as the year has gone on.
Enjoy!
Episode 1, and who are we?
Okay, I won't swear. On purpose.
Not
if I do, please cut it out in case my mother actually ever listens to this.
Are you kidding me? I think your parents are going to be our biggest fans.
Oh my God.
I'm not telling my
mother
right there with your mom.
This.
I'm not telling her about it.
Yeah.
She asked me this morning, you got a busy day? No.
I've not talked to anybody in my family.
I announced it last week at the board meeting.
I know, because I started getting text messages about it.
You should have seen the looks on people's face.
It was a big hit.
It's going to be so entertaining. You're all going to want to tune in.
That's a big sell.
We are entertaining.
I think so.
I agree.
I just hope that the general population finds us as entertaining as we find ourselves.
The people that don't find us entertaining, well, they're not our people.
They're not. And they don't have to shut up and listen.
But they don't know what they're missing.
They don't. So here we sit, ready to record our very first podcast.
Shut up and listen.
Small town stories. It's going to be delightful.
I love it already.
Because people get to listen to us talk.
About a variety of topics.
Yes, and then sometimes we'll bring other people in so they can talk about themselves as well.
We'll also provide some unique resources.
Yeah, and information and programs that we're doing here in Fostoria.
I am really looking forward to it.
Yes, and we probably won't stay on topic. And we'll probably derail a lot, but that's part of the fun.
There is no way we're going to stay on topic.
Not a chance.
I know us.
But that will hopefully... then people will find us as entertaining as we find ourselves.
And I think people will be able to relate to us.
Well, because we're just very normal people doing the best that we can in a small town.
On a limited budget, trying to make the community that we live and work in a better place.
Absolutely. And I'm excited to bring in new people to talk to us because we'll be bringing people that are doing unique and interesting things and have a really huge passion for the community.
We'll have people in here from small businesses, large manufacturers, community members, organizations. It's going to run the gamut.
Yeah, and probably some city leadership.
Oh, I love me some mayor time.
Because we got to bring in the mayor. Because it just wouldn't be complete if we didn't bring in the mayor.
And some city council representation.
Absolutely.
The sky's the limit in what we can do here.
Episode 2, Interview with the Mayor, Eric Keckler.
What would be something that you would say it's in your top 3 proudest things you've accomplished since you've become mayor?
The deal when we ended up with that brownfield out at the old Tyson Krupp.
The old Atlas.
And then ended up with a company coming here from Korea. It was the first time they built anything outside of their country. And to come here with confidence that, and help to be part of building that.
That was huge. That was big for the community. That was my first economic development project in this role.
Yeah, and that was such a big get. It really was.
It was huge for us.
Yep.
As a community.
Yep, it was. But, right now to watch everything that has the downtown start to come back to life.
Yep.
And all the interest, all the buzz of new businesses of all kinds coming downtown, where you can go and buy gifts if you want to.
Yeah.
You have Jena's
Beyond Laser Creations
and the Thistle Exchange, and then we just had that ribbon cutting for the urban market.
So there's clothing in downtown again.
Yeah, and you still have Kaminsky's that, long time
mainstay.
Stalwart.
Oh, yes.
And so many different gifts that they have there.
Yeah.
And then everything is starting to build off of that with what Mike and Tiffany are doing with the brewery, and we know there's a coffee shop coming.
Yes.
Dell's has been here since 80 something years.
Yes.
And
long time.
So I think that if you've lived here a long time, you were part of the boom days when we had all those automotive factories, and some things went away. You're not recognizing the things that are coming back, and it's different than it was before, but it's still pretty cool what's going on downtown and in the whole community.
There's
so you're missing
much.
out if you're not paying attention to what's going on.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of really interesting industries that have come here, and the long time ones that are growing, and now the stuff that's starting to happen in downtown with retail. If you're not paying attention, you're missing out. You really are.
Episode 3, Entrepreneurship in Our Community.
See, I stopped myself. I need to not use my filter. When you were like, entrepreneurial ecosystem, in my head I was like, you got it! But I didn't want to be demeaning to you.
That's fine. You could have. You completely could have.
You said it!
I said it, and I'm like, why don't I use this buzz term?
Say it again.
Entrepreneurial ecosystem. Whatever.
You did it! It's a troubling word. Entrepreneurial mindset, entrepreneurial ecosystem.
But I don't like that entrepreneurial mindset.
It's a buzzword about if you're an entrepreneur, you think outside the box, you pivot, you're flexible, you're able to solve problems. And
So you're creative.
Essentially, yeah. And so they use that, and then, whatever. Because there was a whole thing about growth mindset, too. And so then they took growth mindset and rolled it into entrepreneurial mindset. But the end of the day is, if you know how to solve a problem, if you're flexible, you're quick on your feet, you can think outside the box, the whole premise is, the benefit is because not only are you equipped to be an entrepreneur, and you can go out and run your own business because you kind of have built that skill set, it also makes you a better employee. So even if at the end of the day, you don't go out and you're not, quote, an entrepreneur, so to speak, you still have a lot of skills that make you a valuable employee. So that's kind of how they've rolled that into it. But really, you're a creative problem solver. And you're a hard worker.
I understand everything you just said, and I believe most of it. But when you start
What
talking,
part didn't you believe?
No, when you start talking about all this
Did
stuff,
your brain just turn off?
I
Sarah's
suddenly-
talking again.
I suddenly
I'm not
become
listening.
like a 15-year-old, and I'm like, you know what I hear? Blah, 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 blah. You're a creative problem solver.
Really?
That's what it is.
But ultimately, at the
They
end of the
come
day,
up with all these fancy terms and these buzzwords, and they're like, oh, now let's use this in every single white sheet that we create.
right? And well, it's just like entrepreneurial ecosystem. What does that mean?
It was painful for me to say that.
It's a community that's built around, has resources to support people that want to start and run small businesses that are entrepreneurs. That's what Co-Starters does, because it takes those words, like entrepreneurial mindset, and look at stuff we talk about, like unit of sale and, the different forms of capital, and think about how in that class they explain those terms in a way that's super simple. You're essentially taking MBA level business classes and taking it down to, and I'm not trying to take away from anybody that's been in the class, but it's really an 8th grade level. I know,
that's why I feel smarter when we teach it.
I know.
You teach one of those and you leave and you think,
I know what I'm talking about.
I feel really smart today.
But it really, it makes it so easy to understand without all the assumptions of large vocabulary and buzzwords. It makes it super digestible.
It's very user-friendly.
Absolutely. And that's why I love it.
And I think it takes some of the fear out of it because it is explained in a way that you don't feel like you don't know what you're talking about, or you're so far out of your comfort zone that you just immediately back away from whatever idea that you have because this is over my head.
Well, we've seen people like that. We, and I'm not going to call anybody out, but we've seen people come to the first handful of classes and they're terrified. And and some of it is, they're super insecure in the knowledge base they're coming in with. But then we go through the 10 weeks, and at graduation, we've experienced it before where the entire room is in tears because this person has just talked about their business, and they're empowered and they're confident. And to watch that kind of personal growth in those 10 weeks, I mean, I kind of have goosebumps talking about it.
It's an empowering experience.
It absolutely is.
And you are absolutely correct, because we have, on more than one occasion, seen people come in that first class and they don't speak. They don't make eye contact. They're there because somebody convinced them to come. Mm-hmm. And then by week 10, sometimes they're the first ones to volunteer to stand up and give their presentation and their pitch.
Yeah.
And I have gotten teary-eyed a couple times, full disclosure.
And we're not super emotional people.
No. But you develop a vested interest in these individuals.
Absolutely. I mean, we still talk to, I would say, on a regular basis, probably 95% of the people that have gone through this class.
Yes, we do.
And they talk to each other all the time.
All the time.
Which and it's a huge time investment on our end, but I do love it.
It's one of my favorite things we do.
It is it's my favorite program that we do.
Episode 4, Jena Stearns Beyond Laser Creations.
So, figured it out and really taught myself everything through YouTube and Facebook community groups. Because I am that entrepreneurial spirit, or animal, whatever you said I was, a spirit animal. And so I really set out to figure it out on my own. I have a bachelor's in criminal justice and an insurance license. So this was not part of the plan. It just became something that I enjoyed doing, that I love doing, and being able to provide it to people who just think it's like a miracle was awesome.
I teach next week, so I'll make sure that
They both said that it was good, though.
Good.
Mm-hmm. Other than your face.
My face. I can't help it.
How was Jenna your great mom, but Renee's face? It scared us.
He just said, well, maybe Renee was having a bad day.
No.
I said, I don't think so.
I don't think so. No.
I said, you got to understand, too, this is like after a full day of work. So
yeah, and we still had to teach another class after it.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, they did really. I was impressed with the group. Didn't know at all what to expect. But
yeah,
they did
I mean,
pretty
by the
well.
end, they all had their ideas and they were...
Go big. But no, I looked over at like the first pass of the canvas, and both your kids, like, they had Post-its on every section. And I was like, did your mom prep you for this? Nope. And I was like, okay. They were great. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, their hands were right up, and they were answering questions, and yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I think they seemed, too, like, every week when I came home, I was so jacked up and so excited what I learned that week.
Yeah.
And I hope it's contagious, so.
No, I think it's great.
College isn't for everybody. And
It's
if
not.
I can show them that there is another way,
yeah.
then...
And this is a great way to learn the pathway. I mean, they see you, and then they're getting this class, and they can experiment with it,
Well,
right.
I'm going to go into Monday night, like,
are you going to be
super
so smiley?
perky and smiley, and then we'll see what they say about that. I bet they go back to, we liked it better when we thought Renee was having a bad day.
Man, Renee really seems fake.
She is! Not to worry.
There you
April
go.
didn't have any comments about your face or anything.
She gets it. She gets it.
She knows her mom.
Episode 5, Volunteerism in Our Community.
You're alive.
Oh my God. We're reading each other's minds.
Oh my God.
We're communicating telepathically.
Sure.
Terrifying.
It is terrifying on a subconscious level. This is interesting.
So,
Here we are again.
episode number 5.
Ooh, I'm glad you're tracking it was number 5 because I drew a blank there.
I just counted on my fingers.
Nice.
Okay,
Nice.
Shut Up and Listen
Small town stories.
with Renee and Sarah.
Yay.
Okay, so, we've gone back and forth on what we might talk about this episode.
Yes.
It's been a lot for us to decide.
We've been a little busy.
But we've referenced this a couple times in our previous 4 podcasts, and that is the volunteerism and the active groups that we have here in the city of Fostoria.
Yes.
And since spring has sprung,
We think.
that's what
We're in
told.
Ohio, so it waffles back and forth. But spring is here.
It's here.
Spring in Ohio.
And, you know, school will be out in the next couple of months. Weather gets nicer. A lot of people are looking for maybe things to do, groups they could become involved in, anything they can maybe assist with. So I thought we could talk a little bit today about some of those opportunities.
Yes, I love how you kicked this off and started. And I get to speak without having to ask because you always give me a hard time about that. So good job, Renee. Way to take the lead this morning.
Thanks, I'm trying. Anyway, wow, you've distracted me.
I'm sorry.
I had
all the wonderful organizations in town
I had a
and
pass.
ways to get involved. I'll
So,
get you back on the path.
just for fun this morning, I set the timer on my phone for
Yes.
3 minutes. And I opened a Word document to see how many groups I could think of here in town
Gosh.
that were top of my mind that people could volunteer with, get involved with, things like that. And
Such an overachiever you are.
well, I just wanted to have a number.
Oh,
I
good.
came up with 18 in about a 3-minute window.
I think that's very fair, and I'm sure because there are so many, that's not even a
Exactly.
comprehensive list.
Exactly. So I guess as we look at the community as a whole and everything that goes on a regular basis, I don't care if you are interested in the arts or the trains or outdoor activities, baseball, softball, gardening. There is a group for everybody to potentially get involved with.
Absolutely. Long term, short term.
And when we talk about getting involved, we don't mean joining or paying dues, but maybe just reaching out and saying, do you have some activity coming up that you could use a pair of extra hands for?
Episode 6. Sue Gehring, president of the Fostoria Garden Club.
To see an organization that has so many different generations, that speaks very highly of the group as a whole, I think.
Yeah, it does.
Well, and the 50 members, I think that's tremendous as well. So if I were interested in joining the garden club, what would that look like?
Well, you would just contact any member or any of the officers, and our dues are only $20 a year. And we also, help. We have a lunch at our meetings and a program. But a lot of people think that, I can't join garden club because I have to be able to get down and get dirty, like
like plant
say
things.
that.
Yeah,
like plant
the
things.
flower beds. Yeah.
Yeah, and that really isn't true. There's lots of other things you can do. You could sit and man the booth at the farmer's market, and so you really don't have to even be in gardening. You just need to enjoy gardening and volunteer in other ways within the group.
So you meet monthly.
We meet every month.
Okay,
The
you
second
always-
Wednesday of every month at
Okay.
noon.
And where is it that you meet?
We meet at the Fostoria Learning Center. They were nice enough to let us come here. We used to meet at the library, but during COVID, they weren't allowing us in there, so we approached the Learning Center, and you've been so nice to us.
I must admit that the second Wednesday of every month when the garden club is here is
It's
one
always
of
delightful.
my favorite days.
I know.
You are such an animated group and you have such a good time. From our little window into your world,
Yeah.
it is so entertaining for us to watch you all.
Well, we consider this to be our home now, so we enjoy
We love that.
Yeah,
And
we do.
it is fun to watch them interact. And every month, I love when you come in because you bring everybody, you split up and somebody brings in a lunch. But they always bring in decor and it's always themed. And I love it. It's such a great group of ladies.
It's a mini party every month.
It is. Actually, this Wednesday, this Wednesday, we're having a tea party. One of our members decided that would be fun, so we're having a tea party. And actually, Renee, you're going to be one of
I know. I was going to say that. I heard you have a
our
program.
celebrity servers.
I look forward to it.
And-
Anything for the garden club.
Are you willing to wear a little ruffled apron?
No.
Episode 7. Here's to you, Mom.
When we did a little pre-planning for this, very minimal, I might add, we came up with just some random questions that we would ask you guys to kind of get the ball rolling. Not sure where they're going to take us or what your answers may be. We did go through probably 50-some questions, and
Yes.
both of us opted out of some because we knew what you would say, and
We don't want the world to know.
no, we just weren't comfortable with what we thought your responses were going to be. So, let's start with the first one. So, what is your favorite memory of us? So, Judy, we'll start with you. Oh. What's your favorite memory with Sarah?
Of Sarah. One of my memories is her in her little high chair eating spaghetti.
Oh, gosh.
And we always put a vinyl tablecloth underneath the table because not only was it all over her face, it was all over the floor, in her hair. She loved spaghetti. And she liked to try to take it inside through osmosis, but it didn't.
I believe I also had a favorite food when I was a child that I don't eat now.
You did. You loved scrambled eggs, and now you won't eat an egg to save your soul.
I know.
Although you've gotten a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why the change? What happened there?
I don't know. And it should be noted, because my mother, she is politically correct, so she won't say it. I was a fat kid.
Oh my God.
As a toddler,
She was a little chunky.
I was ginormous. My cholesterol was a problem at age 3.
I've got a little picture of her.
I doubt that's true.
I've got a little picture of her in her little blue jeans and a little flannel shirt, and her tummy was kind of sticking out a little bit, and she had a little bandana on her head. Aww. She was so cute.
And fat.
She was not.
Aww.
She was a little chubby.
But, okay, Mom.
Yes.
What is one of your favorite memories of us?
Well, of us together?
Yeah. I do.
Oh, that's cheating.
Oh, that's cheating.
It has to be of you, and then we can go back and do the us.
Okay, fine.
Okay, if we're talking little, one of my favorite memories of Renee is she was probably about 2, 3, 4 years old. She did this for quite some time. She would work very much into music, and she would stand in front of the television with her little guitar, singing and dancing with country music on TV.
Aww. Mm-hmm.
She did it for a long time, and she was cute. She knew the words. She did the dance moves. You know, she was going.
That does not surprise me.
Yep, I had moves as a chubby child.
That's how you got so thin. You just kept using your moves.
Episode 8. It's the Renee Show.
Today's episode is going to be all about Renee. So technically, you're my guest. So welcome to the couch, Renee.
Thank you so much.
I know you're very much looking forward to this.
Yes, I would like our listeners to know I'm being forced to do this against my will. And I'm really not happy, but I'm a team player.
But I promise you, I'm going to try to make this as painless as possible.
Mm-hmm. We'll see. We'll see.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So I had to laugh because I was reading something came across my news feed somewhere, and it was a Mother's Day thing about ask your kids what you actually do, like what your job is. And I kind of laughed because I feel like both of our jobs, nobody can really explain it and nobody really knows what it is we do. And your grandmother, I think, struggles maybe the most on this.
The struggle is real, but it's difficult because some days I struggle to describe what I do.
Because it's so different every day.
It is. And so when you actually start talking about it with people, and we'll use my grandmother as an example, and she does not listen to this podcast.
So you're safe here.
But, I mean, you start talking, and you just see her eyes kind of glaze over, and you've lost her in the first 30 seconds because, well, she probably just doesn't care. But it is difficult to explain.
It is.
And if you're not in the world, I could see where it would be pretty boring.
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes I know that I'll oversimplify it just because it's just too much to try to explain because there's so many different pots.
Exactly.
Of things that we're spending our time on. But we're going to dive into that a little bit later.
Okay.
So I'm going to piggyback to get us started on something that was talked about in our previous episode that we ask our mothers of what they thought we would end up being as adults. But as a kid, what did you always think you'd end up doing?
I thought I'd be an attorney. I wanted to put people on the witness stand and grill them. And I used to practice with my sister. When I was in 5th grade, it was when the O.J. Simpson trial was going on. And so I would...
Were you like making her put on a glove?
I would make her get on the stand and I would grill her with all these questions. You know, I would prep. She hated me. It's a wonder she speaks to me today. But I enjoyed it immensely. But no, I really thought I would be an attorney. I mean, even when I went to college, I minored in political science. I applied to law school towards the end of my undergraduate just to make sure I could get in. I could, but then I decided I didn't. That seemed like a lot of work at that point in time.
Okay.
So opted to just say I could get into law school, but I'm not going to
So
go
you could
down
like
that
check
path.
that because you're very goal oriented.
I am.
Yeah.
Episode 9, There's Something About Sarah.
Turnabout is fair play.
Yes, and I was so looking forward to this after I thought, let's do an episode about Renee.
Yes, so today's episode is all about Sarah.
Yay.
I, for one, am enthused.
Wow.
I am.
Okay.
You know, I'm a big Sarah fan, big cheerleader for Sarah.
Please stop. For the love of God, please stop.
I can't help myself.
Okay.
Because I'm getting a real sick sense of pleasure.
I know you are. Because I know what that, like the root of that tone was. It's not all that positivity. It's like, haha, my turn to stick it to her.
A little bit. But I'm going to try and stick to mostly the same questions.
Okay.
I'll throw in probably a couple different ones.
Of course you will.
Because, well, your experience is a little different than mine.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll start with, what did you think you would do for a living as a child?
My jumping from potential career to career, like what I thought I would be when I grew up, was kind of like an indicator of what my life would actually become as an adult, trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. It kind of like ran the gamut. As a kid, I think I remember like setting up my room with my stuffed animals and doing like classrooms and that kind of stuff. So there was a little bit of wanting to be a teacher, because I think I had some really great teachers as a kid, to there was a span to, I thought, oh, a lawyer would be exciting. Not to the degree that you did. I think that was more like I didn't put anyone on the stand and, you know,
I was pretty intense.
make them feel guilty. But when I graduated high school, I started college pursuing pre-med. I thought that I would be a doctor. So that's a whole kind of other thing.
That's a big jump from setting up like stuffed animals.
I know. I think it was just, I feel like it was a lot of, I really love sciences. I loved biology. And, you know, a lot of people were like, oh, you should pursue medicine. I think you'd be great at it. And I guess I let those voices kind of speak greater than, I feel like I didn't really know myself graduating high school. I really didn't explore a lot of that. So I just kind of jumped right in and got to college and was like, ugh, I don't want to be in the library. I realized I was much more social than that. So I changed majors a couple times.
Episode 10, Interview with Micah Hyde.
Well, today on our virtual couch, so you're our very first virtual guest, we have Fostoria native Micah Hyde, and he just happens to be an NFL standout who is currently playing for the Buffalo Bills. So thank you so much for making time for us today. We really appreciate it.
How you guys doing?
Fine, you?
Good. I got the baby monitor right here. Both kids are sleeping, so we're good so far. We're good.
Yeah.
I'll turn it down just in case they start screaming, but just know if I'm giving that look like it's getting chaotic, just know we gotta speed up the process.
No problem. We totally get it. So now we know why 3:45 was this like key strategic time.
Yep.
I'm not going to assume that you've listened to our little podcast, but we always refer to our guests being on the couch. I know that you have done hundreds of interviews probably in your career, and everybody probably has their own spiel of how they introduce you, but we would love for you to introduce yourself to our audience in your own words. So tell us a little bit about
Well, my name is Micah Hyde, born and raised in Fostoria, Ohio. I am still a little kid because I am still playing sports. And I'm just a Fostorian that happens to be on TV.
All right. So clearly you're a football player and you say you're still a kid, but have you always been passionate about football, or was there something else you thought you'd end up doing?
Growing up, I always thought I was always into sports. Sports were huge in Fostoria growing up, and whether it was high school football, basketball, baseball, soccer, I was involved in all of it. So, I think I made a decision early on in high school that, football was probably going to be the route I was going to take. And not to say I was the most passionate about it. I just felt like it was not the easiest route, but baseball is pretty tough, and basketball, I'm not 6'5". So chose football, and here I am today.
Okay, so you've been in the NFL since 2013. Before that, you had your college career at Iowa. I'm sure throughout that time you faced a number of different challenges, but what is one challenge that you'd be willing to share with us today and share what you learned from that?
One challenge. Yeah, there's been a lot of challenges, throughout my career, from being a young guy in the NFL. That was tough, just trying to learn who you are as a football player. And it's also a business. You got to learn the business side, on to getting, another contract and moving to Buffalo, starting a family, getting married. That was a whole different, aspect of kind of being an NFL player. But I think the hardest thing throughout, I guess, my career of playing football is eliminating the distractions and also a little bit of sacrifice. There's been a lot of times where I wanted to do some things, whether it was hang out with my friends or, go on vacation or do this or do that. But obviously with football, my schedule is pretty limited. And so, you got to sacrifice your time and go out there and do your job.
So you mentioned eliminating distractions. That intrigues me a little bit, because no matter your age or what your career is, there are always these distractions. Yeah. So would you share with us kind of what you do to help eliminate some of those?
Well, I try to, I think as you get older, the friends that you have in high school, obviously you don't continue to talk to, which, there's, even if you do, there's nothing wrong with that. But, I think from high school on, your circle kind of gets smaller. I'm worried about my family now with, 2 kids and my wife. So I guess eliminating distractions for me is more just keeping my circle small, especially during the season, 'cause I got to be able to focus. And, I watch a lot of film during the season. So a lot of my free time is devoted to my family rather than, on the phone with friends or visiting and stuff like that.
And it's tough because that's a lot. And I love that before we actually started our podcast, you said you have the baby monitor next to you. So you're clearly good at multitasking.
Yeah. Well, it was I think my NFL wives in general, NFL mothers have a tough time during the season because I'm my wife Amanda, she allows me to focus on football. The greatest thing ever was meeting her, because now I think I became a better football player because I was able to focus on football. I didn't have to worry about, what was going on at home with the kids, with bills, with anything like that. I was able to just, put all my efforts into football. So when I met her, my life definitely changed. And during last season, actually the last couple of seasons with COVID and all that, we have a 2-year-old, we have a 9-month-old today. So during the season, I'm not there as much. So during the off season, I try to be here, be present as much as possible, because I want to be, my kids' lives. I want to be, know how to, feed my daughter and stuff like that. Like that's big for me. I'm a big family guy.